My gut tells me that they were ambushed.
So, I had assumed this whole time for 6 months now that it happened in the middle of the night.
And now we know it was the middle of the day. Absolutely.
Broad daylight.
Broad daylight.
I don't want to get her involved in this. I don't want to ruin her life. Like it's something like this. I don't want her involved in this. Okay.
At some point, Chris locates what's called a dry bag.
Brian Laundrie's body has been found. Law enforcement had considered Laundrie the only person of interest in the murder of his fiancée, Gabby Petito.
You're the one that filed the missing persons report.
Yeah, and I'll totally come forward with that.
That's all it is the truth. So there's nothing to hide in that coroner's report. There's nothing to hide by not having Kelly take a polygraph. And if the truth comes out, and this was a...
How do you deal with it? I had to sneak the other day when I was with Josie. I had to sneak and talk to him. I had to sneak and talk to him about his sister.
Makes me think the worst. Did you do that to all three of them?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me tonight for another ATS News live stream. I'm so happy to see you guys here. Hi, Ambi, Valerie, David, Amanda. I'm so glad you guys are all here. Punksy. Just really appreciate seeing you guys. Kimmy Jean and Sky. And anyone who is watching on replay, I appreciate your views as well. If you guys could just give me a thumbs up at the moment, that would be greatly appreciated. And tonight we are going to talk about, obviously, the big news that everyone has heard, that Johnny Depp won his defamation lawsuit against Amber Heard. She, as of today, I'm sure everyone has heard, has stated that she will be appealing. Her lawyer, Elaine, has gone around on several news stations and done some interviews. So I figured we would listen to her interviews together. I haven't even listened to them, so I'm just going to be giving you guys a real live reaction. Hi, Karen. Hi, Jax. Hello, Joni. So yeah, I'll give you a real response. Pointer Lover, good to see you. The pinned comment in the live chat, if anyone has any questions about that, feel free to ask a moderator. It's been explained in the last two live streams, and I didn't want to dwell on it. But if you guys have questions about it, or if you're a member and realize that your membership has been paused, a moderator can explain that further. So let me just share my screen. I've got some things I want to pull up. So I think we should just, maybe refresh just the verdict, maybe. We'll start there. Maybe more people will show up. And then we can watch Elaine.
Here's a song about a brawny paper towel when your ice cream.
Sorry for the ad, guys, but I really appreciate you guys being here. So thank you so much.
The April 8, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail. Quote, Amber Heard and her friends in the media use fake sexual violence allegations as both a sword and shield, depending on their needs. They have selected some of her sexual violence hoax facts as the sword, inflicting them on the public and Mr. Depp. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Ms. Heard proven by a greater weight of the evidence that question, Mr. Waldman, while acting as an agent for Mr. Depp, made or published the statement? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Ms. Heard. Answer, yes.
I just wanted to pause it real quick and just agree with your comment, Jax. She said, I think this verdict truly was karmic justice, balancing the scales, justice for Johnny Depp. I do too. Ultimately, from what I've seen, Amber, without surprise, is doubling down on the whole, I thought I had the right to speak this way as an American, and this has set women back, blah, blah, blah. You guys have seen her statement. I think I might even read it. She posted it on Twitter, I believe. But it's just, even the lawyer, I guess, is kind of blaming social media today, and we'll see her interview in a minute.
Question, the statement was seen by someone other than Ms. Heard. Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false. Answer, yes. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven by clear and convincing evidence that the statement by Mr. Waldman was made with actual malice? Answer, yes. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $2 million. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $0.
All right. Does either side wish to have the jury polled?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Jamie?
Members of the jury, if this is your verdict, please answer yes. If this is not your verdict, please answer.
So, yeah, I agree totally with Caroline's comment. I know you guys have seen this, so I'll just leave it playing in the background, and, we've seen this. But they said, for me, it was playing, Amber was playing the system, making it a zillion times harder for legit abuse victims to come forward, since their abusers will scream, you are just another Amber Heard now. Yeah, unfortunately. And I don't know, remember when, she's leaving rather quick, but remember when they went in the courtroom and were like, oh gosh, here it is, we're going to hear it. And then all of a sudden, the judge told the jury that they didn't fill out the paperwork correctly, remember? And everyone was like, oh my gosh, what? So we had to wait even longer. Sorry, Florida, I forgot to tell you that I was live, but thanks for being here. So yeah, I just remember Elaine's face. And I just remember she almost, like, do you think when the judge pulled them up there that they knew the verdict, even though the juror didn't fill out the paperwork correctly or all the way? Like, I just feel like Elaine's face, like, dropped, and, like, she couldn't hide that it wasn't in their favor, really. But I'm not sure what the judge was saying to them. Yeah, I agree, Savannah. They said everyone knew Amber was lying. She had no evidence. You can't compare her with a DV survivor. I agree. Hi, Jody is cool. Hey, crazy crime chick. Hi, Pink Dahlia. Good job on Alex Erickson's. That was really good. I want to hear more about your Tennessee trip, too. I didn't actually hear this.
To the future. Thank you all so much, and thanks to the jury.
Thank you so much. How is he feeling? How's Johnny feeling? Johnny and Amber.
But anyways.
I've been a fan. I've seen some of his movies, not all.
That lady. Bless her heart. All right. Now, what do I want to do? Yes, the jurors did not fill out the compensatory, form to the lawyers. Knew then there was compensation probably for Johnny. Yeah, I just feel like all of them. Hi, Kathy Bennett. All of them like kept a really straight face, but I just feel like you could see it on Elaine's face, something she had known, something. But it was all very interesting, and I couldn't believe that like we had to wait even longer. I was like, are you kidding me? This is the most dramatic trial in so long. All right, let's look at Elaine's interview. I swear, guys, I haven't watched this. I waited all day. There's two of them I want to watch with you guys, and then some other stuff I want to go through.
Elaine Bredehoft, good morning to you. It's good to see you. First question, how is Amber doing? We saw her hearing that verdict. It took a long time to read. It was a sweeping verdict for Johnny Depp. How did she handle it?
You know, one of the first things she said is, I am so sorry to all those women out there. This is a setback for all women in and outside the courtroom. And she feels it, and she feels the burden of that.
Well, knowing the case and knowing the law, as you certainly do, it favors defendants like Amber Heard. Are you stunned that the jury essentially rejected her story?
Well, you know, really what happened here is it's a tale of two trials. Johnny Depp brought a suit in the UK for the same case, and the burden of proof was easier for him there. The son had to actually prove that it was true, and the court found there, and we weren't allowed to tell the jury this, but the court found that Mr. Depp had committed at least 12 acts of domestic violence, including sexual violence, against Amber. So what did Depp's team learn from this? Demonize Amber and suppress the evidence. We had an enormous amount of evidence that was suppressed in this case that was in the UK case. In the UK case, when it came in, Amber won, Mr. Depp lost.
Okay, I just have to pause it because I just think that, like most lawyers, Elaine is just using sneaky vocabulary and, you know, just trying to present this as something as it wasn't, because I feel like the evidence that she's referring to that wasn't allowed to be submitted was hearsay, was statements that worked for them in the UK trial. And again, it was Johnny against the son in the UK trial. Amber, of course, was a witness there, but yeah, I agree. Hi, Allie79, and I agree how the waters. I find it ridiculous that Elaine is going on the news and still trying to support Amber. She's trying so hard to set the narrative for her appeal and basically say that this was a witch hunt against her client and she wasn't given a fair representation. Who knows, you know? But when she says that there was evidence that wasn't allowed to be submitted, I don't know about you guys, but I think that she's referring to like hearsay statements that was allowed in the UK trial. And yes, exactly. Shunyata, Amber did not win the UK trial. Right. And she's saying it, her vocabulary that she's using is making it come across that they won in the UK trial. It was the son. And I myself have even gotten kind of confused. Right, Savannah, it's two different cases. Hi, American Gal. Glad you're here. Yeah, exactly, Pink Dahlia. Maybe she really is the right lawyer for someone like Amber, because they just are they're relentless. And I guess to be a lawyer, you kind of do have to be that type of relentless. Okay, let's hear this.
But here's the thing. You were able to get some evidence that you say demonstrated abuse. You certainly had her testimony. There were pictures, documents, all kinds of evidence. But in point of fact, the jury rejected it. You argued in your closing arguments that if they found even one instance of abuse, and it did not even have to be physical abuse, that they would have to find for Amber Heard, and they didn't.
And the other part to bear in mind here is nothing changed. The op-ed didn't even mention Mr. Depp by name. And so what basically they did here is demonize her. And they were able to suppress the medical records, which were very, very significant because they showed a pattern going all the way back to 2012 of Amber reporting this to her therapist, for example.
Oh, American Gal, I didn't see that. So she said, did you guys see the video of one of the jurors put out? They are remaining anonymous, but have been answering questions online saying the jurors did not trust Amber. I think, hi, open minds, I think Amber dug herself her own hole in this. And, you know, if the jurors didn't trust her, it has nothing to do with how she was treated on social media. Like I think Elaine is trying to spin. I think it has everything to do with the fact that people saw through it, you know? So that's just how I see it.
example. We had significant amount of texts, including from Mr. Depp's assistants, saying, when I told him he kicked you, he cried. He is so sorry. That didn't come in.
Is there any other way to interpret this verdict, though, that this jury, for whatever reason, and I hear you on some of the evidence that they didn't hear, listening to Amber Heard, did not believe a single word?
You know, and that's because she was demonized here. A number of things were allowed in this court that should not have been allowed. And it caused the jury to be confused. We weren't allowed to tell them about the UK judgment. So the damages is completely skewed. There are no damages. It stopped at November 2, 2020, which is when the judgment came down in the UK.
Let me ask you about social media in this case. Unlike any celebrity case, certainly I've ever covered or ever seen, social media was a part of this. And it was incredibly lopsided and vitriolic against Amber Heard. Do you think that had an effect on the case?
Absolutely.
You think jurors were aware of it? They weren't supposed to be. They're admonished every single day. Don't look at it. Do you think they did see it?
How can you not? They went home every night. They have families. The families are on social media. We had a 10-day break in the middle because of the judicial conference. There's no way they couldn't have been influenced by it. And it was horrible. It really, really was lopsided. And I appreciate your saying that. It's like the Roman Colosseum, you know, how they viewed this whole case. I was against cameras in the courtroom, and I went on record with that and had argued against it because of the sensitive nature of this. But it made it a zoo.
Does your client want to appeal?
Oh, absolutely. And she has some excellent grounds for it. We even had tried to get the UK judgment in.
And remember, here's the thing about, first off, thank you so much for the comments in chat, guys. Really good comments. And I want to read through them too after this clip here. But Amber said that she wants to move on with her life, blah, blah, blah. So she's going to appeal? Isn't that the exact opposite? I just am like, oh my gosh, how could Amber wanted to go through this again? Exactly, Donna. Accept the loss and move on unless there is no problem being double humiliated. Right. Like, just stop. Yeah, I agree. Her staring at the jury probably annoyed them for sure. And she kept talking to the jury while answering questions. It was probably intimidating them. I agree, Savannah. That was just so weird. And yeah, Pink Dahlia said, I think we saw exactly what Dr. Curry said about her, in my opinion. Yeah, you could just see her snapping a little bit here and there. They weren't fooled by Amber at all. I totally agree. But can you imagine this being appealed? Like, come on.
To dismiss his case because he already had his shot. And that's one of the issues, but also a number of the evidentiary issues. There was so much evidence that did not come in.
Is she able to pay a $10.4 million judgment?
The juror on TikTok said he had to stop looking at Amber. I totally believe that. Yeah, they cannot bring in the UK trial. Different rules, different country. Exactly. That makes complete sense to me. And the way that she's speaking about all this, when she was like, for some reason it was allowed in this courtroom, things that were allowed in this courtroom that shouldn't have been allowed. It's pretty much like bad-mouthing the judge in a way. Hollow Waters says it's hypocritical. Johnny is done, but Amber, the faker and liar who probably, right, bipolar disorder with histrionic, wants more. She's going to drag this out, it seems. Oh my gosh, Sky, that poor child. I mean, I'm sure that she's already had people harassing CPS. I mean, that I don't agree with unless there's actual proof and cause to do so. Not just because you don't like the lady. But I don't know. I worry about her short patience with Camille. Like, I know obviously you're kind of under pressure, but she seemed to lose it easily.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Finally, in closing arguments, Amber's team argued that this would send a message, that it would send a message that no matter what you do as an abuse victim, you always have to do more. You need to be perfect in order for people to believe you if she did not get a favorable verdict. What message do you think this sends?
It's a horrible message. It's, as I said, a setback. It's a significant setback because that's exactly what it means. Unless you pull out your phone and you video your spouse or your significant other beating you, effectively, you won't be believed.
Elaine Bredehoft, thank you very much for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Verizon just gave us all a brand new iPhone.
Yes, Savannah, I noticed and said that too to my fiance. The charities definitely won't be getting their money now. No donations coming in, even though, remember, for a while in the trial, both her and her lawyer were trying to argue that her time hasn't, run out on donating that pledge and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah. They're definitely not getting that now. I was watching a video of her losing her temper different times. She gets angry in a snap. I agree. Like, Alex, you could just tell she needs help working on her patience. And she had even said after an argument with Johnny to somebody, something along the lines, do you ever just get so mad at someone that you just lose it? Or something like that. Not verbatim, but yeah. All right, so I think at this point, I will pull up a pre-recorded video that I did, just reading through something that was published today in one of the news things talking about this. And then there's another interview with Elaine that I think that we can watch together. So give me 1 second while I share my screen. Amber Heard's attorney reveals the actress is absolutely not able to pay the $8 million damages to Johnny Depp and plans to appeal and insists the jury was tainted by social media during toxic 6-week court battle. Amber's lead attorney has spoken out following her stunning civil suit loss and says the actress is unable to pay the $8.35 million in damages she owes Johnny Depp. Lawyer Elaine Bredehoft, who represented Heard at the trial, appeared on the Today's Show on Thursday and said that Heard has excellent grounds to appeal the verdict and plans to do so. Asked if the Aquaman actress would be able to pay the damage she owes Depp after a jury vindicated his claims that she lied by accusing him of abuse during their marriage, Bredehoft replied, "No, absolutely not. It's a horrible message. It's a setback, a significant setback, because that's exactly what it means," Bredehoft said of the verdict. "Unless you pull out your phone and video your spouse or your significant other beating you, effectively, you won't be believed." The attorney insisted the jury in the case had been influenced by public opinion, including on social media, despite strict orders from the judge not to read anything about the case outside of court. There's no way they couldn't have been influenced. It was horrible. It was really, really lopsided, Bredehoft said of a public sentiment against Heard in the case. It's like the Roman Colosseum, how they viewed this whole case. Bredehoft said that Depp's legal team had tried to demonize Amber and suppress the evidence. "We had an enormous amount of evidence suppressed in this case that was in the UK case," she said, referring to Depp's defamation suit against The Sun, which he lost. Asked whether the verdict meant that the jury simply doesn't believe Heard, Bredehoft doubled down, responding, "That's because she was demonized here. A number of things were allowed in this court that should not have been allowed, and it caused the jury to be confused," she said. Bredehoft said that Heard was feeling the burden of Wednesday's verdict. "One of the first things she said is, 'I am so sorry to all those women out there. This is a setback for all women in and outside the courtroom, and she feels the burden of that," the attorney said. The verdicts bring an end to a televised trial that Depp had hoped would help restore his reputation, though it turned into a spectacle that offered a window into a vicious and dysfunctional marriage. Heard, who was stoic in the courtroom as the verdict was read, said she was heartbroken. I'm even more disappointed with what this verdict means for other women. It's a setback. It sets back the clock to a time when a woman who spoke up and spoke out could be publicly humiliated. It sets back the idea that violence against women is to be taken seriously, she said in a statement posted on her Twitter account. Depp, who was not in court Wednesday, said the jury gave me back my life. I am truly humbled. I hope that my quest to have the truth be told will have helped others, men or women, who have found themselves in my situation, and that those supporting them never give up, he said in a statement posted on Instagram. Depp sued Heard for libel in Fairfax County Circuit Court over a December 2018 op-ed she wrote in the Washington Post describing herself as a public figure representing DV. His lawyers said he was defamed by the article, even though it never mentioned his name. The jury found in Depp's favor on all three of his claims relating to specific statements in the 2018 piece. All right, so pretty much Elaine, still doubling down on, like Hollow Waters said, trying to manipulate how girls into thinking that this verdict will be bad for them. Right. Like, this isn't a case where somebody wasn't believed who actually was a victim, but they, of course, are going to double down on that narrative. And it's just not the truth. It's the exact opposite in a way that it's hurt people because it didn't come across as believable to anybody, to the jurors, to, just anybody. Nobody found it believable. I guess some of her fans maybe, but from what I've seen, there's not many. Yeah, somebody said that, Mod Squad. They said something like, "Oh, it looks like she used her bruise kit today," or something. It's whoever's doing her cheek contouring. It's just confusing people, I think. As Elaine likes to say, the jury was confused. Just almost Elaine speaking badly of the jurors and the judge
This is
in
not
her
just a tackle
statements.
box.
And that's just so. Somebody who would represent Amber Heard, I guess, would behave the way that Elaine has been behaving today. What do you guys think? They're like two peas in a pod. This is Depp after he found out.
Johnny. Love you, Johnny. We love you, Johnny. We love Johnny. I love you, bro. I love you, bro. I love you, bro. I love you.
I was so happy for the real Johnny Depp fans who got to go to Virginia and, see him, I guess. I know some of them were, it made their life pretty much, it seemed. All right, let's see this interview. Haven't watched it yet.
A Virginia jury's decision to side with Johnny Depp in his defamation lawsuit is drawing both condemnation and praise. The verdict came after 6 weeks of very dramatic testimony from both sides. She claimed that he abused her while he said she was the abuser. In his reaction, Depp wrote, "The goal of bringing the case was to reveal the truth, and that truth never perishes." Elaine Bredehoft is the attorney for Amber Heard and is with us now. And we should mention, we did also reach out to Johnny Depp's team, but they declined to be interviewed this morning. Elaine, thank you. We're so very glad you're here.
Thank you.
We heard Amber's reaction to the verdict yesterday. This seems to be a huge victory for Johnny Depp this morning.
Yeah, a major setback for women inside the courtroom and outside the courtroom.
Because
basically what this said, Amber had an enormous amount of evidence, although a lot of it was suppressed in this case as opposed to the UK. But look at all the women who have no evidence, all these women who suffer from domestic violence, domestic abuse. They don't have evidence. And basically what this jury said is unless you pull out your cell phone and you tape record your spouse beating you, you're out of luck.
But Elaine, I think it was bigger than that because you had the evidence, as you say, but they did not believe her. Why do you think they did not believe her?
I think that a lot of that was that it was Johnny Depp. I think the celebrity status.
But she's a celebrity too.
And it's not only not
she's
believing her.
Yeah, but she's a celebrity too.
Right.
But you have to remember, it's a tale of two trials. All the evidence came in the UK. Mr. Depp brought that one. The burden of proof was on the son in the UK because they had called him a wife beater and talked about the domestic violence. He had his opportunity to tell the truth then. And a 3-week trial, he lost. The judge found 12 acts of domestic violence, including sexual violence. And that came out November 2, 2020. We weren't.
Oh my gosh. Did you guys just see Elaine put DV or whatever in quotations, like pretty much, or no, she said he was given the chance to tell the truth. Hold on. Like Elaine over here, like she's about to be sued for defamation.
Wife beater and talked about the domestic violence. He had his opportunity to tell the truth then. And a 3-week trial, he lost. The judge found 12 acts of domestic violence, including sexual violence. And that came out November 2, 2020. We weren't allowed to tell the jury that.
Well, it's a different system, and the judge, it wasn't a jury, it was a judge. The judge said it was substantially true, and that is significant, and I think surprised a lot of legal analysts. But, in this case, the jury not only didn't believe Amber Heard, but in ruling that she acted with actual malice, that means she had the intent to cause harm, right? That's a pretty high standard to have proven.
And it's pretty amazing since the op-ed never even mentioned Mr. Depp. You have to remember that. What they learned from the UK case is to demonize Amber, which is what they did, and to try to suppress as much of the evidence that came in the UK and did not come in.
Oh my gosh. And here she goes, doubling down on his, yeah, CDT, same. Wow. You have to remember this op-ed didn't even mention his name. Okay, but your client was up on the stand. Remember her last testimony? And she was like, that's why I wrote it. Because she was referencing Johnny Depp. So, like, she's relentless. She really is. Yeah, Elaine is actually lying here. Wow. There was numerous times that I felt Amber's team was shady. They did kind of trickster things, and I'll show you one of them. Actually, after this, I put together something that I made but never got to post, and now that everything's said and done, it's my last chance to kind of show you guys. But yeah, they pulled out some shady stuff, like that one audio that Rotten, whatever his name was playing, and when Johnny was on the stand and he was like, and you heard her say, get off me at the end, right? And Johnny was like, I couldn't hear anything he said or what was being said. And like, you really couldn't hear, but the way that lawyers worded it, Amber's lawyer, was just so like tricky and shady, like they pulled out any trick that they could. And Elaine is still going on. Yeah, same, Valerie. I just call him Mr. Rotten.
in the United States. But the other problem is we had cameras in the courtroom. So here we had, not only did we have a group of Depp fans that were there every day, 100 were allowed in. They lined up at 1 o'clock in the morning for their wristbands to be in that courtroom. But we had everything on camera, and we had tremendous social media that was very, very, very much against Amber.
It was pointed out that that was the first time that a victim of sexual abuse had to testify on live television.
And I fought hard and lost that battle.
So
it should not have happened.
So I am a former NFL player, and after a hard loss, it's easy to wake up and point to the other side. Oftentimes, I realized the better thing to do was to look in the mirror. What mistakes did I make as a player? What mistakes did our coaching staff make? And then how can we improve from there? Do you feel like you guys made any mistakes along the way? Do you feel like Amber made a mistake while she was on the stand? Because you're saying it's the celebrity, it's Johnny, it's the people who support him. But what about you and your team?
Well, and that's an excellent question. And to say, and you know, Amber even said on the stand, I am not perfect. I am a human being. These people were giving her death threats. They threatened to microwave her baby. This is the kind of social media she was getting. So are any of us perfect? No. Is there something else we feel we should have done? Yes, absolutely. I redo my closings 100 times afterwards, whether I win or lose. That's part of being a good lawyer, a good trial lawyer, is there's always something. But I think that there were a lot of influences here that were beyond our control. And I think
Oh my gosh. And notice when he asked, like, were there any things that maybe you or your team could have done better? She instantly says, you know, brings up Amber. And it like doesn't want to answer the question. Exactly, Crazy Crime Chick. Like, I'm reading your that just popped up on StreamYard at the same time. Like, I'm like saying it, like beating around the bush, but at the same time, that's going to be their argument. How many times have we heard this microwave thing now by them? Amber said it once. Elaine said it in the closing statement. Now Elaine's saying it again here the day after. You know, 3 times so far. They're just, hi, Jen Lou. You know, she's just going to, you know, double down on how this was some type of crazy witch hunt against her client and it wasn't a fair chance. So anything that you hear until they get their appeal approved is going to be Elaine and Amber just spouting off. We didn't get heard and we need a voice, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be them pointing the finger. You know, she was, you know, brutalized by the media and social media. Oh.
The social media, it was like a Roman Colosseum. It is the best way to describe the atmosphere here. And I have to believe that the...
How can she even compare the Roman Colosseum, like with gladiators, and like they were literally enslaved people who were used to fight against, like they had like lions and bears and, you know, they really did like put them in front of like a whole Colosseum for entertainment. And it was, you know, fight to your death. How is she comparing that to this trial? Can anyone explain that? How do you compare that? And she's used it twice in her interviews today. The Colosseum aspect. How is Amber Heard a gladiator?
Jury, even though they're told not to go and look at anything, we had, you know, they have weekends, they have families, they have
they were not
media.
Sequestered. They were not sequestered.
And the 10-day period we had, how could they not have been influenced?
But Elaine, for most people watching this trial, and a lot of people, as you know, got huge views. It just seemed to be so messy and salacious and so tawdry on both sides. On both sides. And I think for a lot of people from the outside looking in thought both of them were not telling the truth and that they had both, they mutually abused each other. Do you not believe that that was the case?
No, and that's one of the many misnomers. The way that Depp's team approached this was based on ignorance of domestic violence. It completely ignored the cycle of violence and just said, oh, she wouldn't have done this if he had been hitting her. That was their approach.
So you thought that they weren't fighting fair?
Correct. I don't think they were fighting fair.
And you think
Absolutely.
Amber Heard is, in fact, a survivor of domestic violence?
Yes, I absolutely believe that. And there's a tremendous amount of evidence, much of which did not come into this trial, did come into the UK trial.
I got to
We
see
even
that
had
again.
more
I just
evidence.
got to
We
see
had
her body
medical
language
records.
again
We had
right
mental
there.
health records that went back to 2012 into the UK trial. We even had
Domestic violence.
Yes, I am fighting fair.
And you think
absolutely.
Amber Heard is, in fact, a survivor of domestic violence?
Yes, I absolutely believe that. And there's a tremendous amount of evidence, much of which did not come into this trial, did come into the UK trial. We even had more evidence. We had medical records. We had mental health records that went back to 2012 that were contemporaneous. We had text messages from Mr. Depp's assistant saying, when I told him that he had kicked you, he cried.
So how
That
is she
didn't come
today,
in.
Elaine? How is she today? What is
heartbroken.
her next move?
She's right. Well, her next move is appeal. There were
But
a
she's
number.
heartbroken.
She is heartbroken. And one of the first things that she said when she came back from the verdict, when we went into the conference room, was, I am so sorry to all these women.
She said that?
Yes. She felt like she had let down all of these women because she had more evidence than most people do. And yet they still didn't believe her.
Elaine Bredehoft, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you.
Thank
We'll be right back.
At Beauty Pie, you can get high-end beauty products without the high-end beauty price.
I don't think any one of those newscasters believed her. Like, those guys were like, and you think, okay, Pink Dahlia, I will. I'll check it right now. Sorry, I don't ever check it. But I will check it. Yeah, she can't stop, Jen Lu. But the thing is, I thought she said she wanted to move on with her life. That's what I don't understand. It's just ridiculous. All right. Yeah, Karen, I agree. All of the evidence is hearsay. All of Amber's evidence is hearsay. I agree. The analyst, Elaine, is lying and she knows it. Right. And she's just going to continue. Thank you so much, Pink Dahlia. I really appreciate that. And thank you. I don't know if you guys want me to say your names, but anyone who sent PayPal, I really appreciate it immensely. And I am beyond like grateful. So I just, wow. Thank you guys. All your support means a lot in any way, shape, or form, even if it's just liking this live stream. So that helps too. All right, so let me see. Yeah, exactly, Justine. She won't leave him alone. My college roommate's name was Justine. Her career is over. Agree. Everything she says is a lie. All right, so let me see. Yeah. If anyone, like I said earlier in the live stream, there's a pinned comment up top. If you need it explained, you can ask a moderator and they can explain that further. But all right, so let me see what I want to play next. All right, so I made a video. I'm sure you guys have seen it. If you haven't seen it, then it's just going to work in perfect. So it's called Amber Heard Bruise Kit Slip. So let me just refresh your guys' memory with my video, and then I'll follow it up with something that I had noticed during the trial when Amber's team was presenting their evidence, including like the pictures of Johnny passed out. So let me just start with the Amber Heard Bruise Kit Slip video, and then I'll show you my follow-up to it. And thank you again for being here, everybody.
When you had bruises or cuts of any nature, what would you do about those? Would you try to cover them up? Would you try to just leave them showing? What would you do?
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
Yeah,
Overruled on that.
thank
Go
you.
ahead. Well, I'm I am typically photographed in LA when I leave the house, paparazzi type of photograph. So I always, I'm somewhat aware of that anyway. And no woman wants to walk around with a bruise on her face. So if I do have a bruise on my face or someplace visible, the main thing, you have to ice right away to reduce swelling, because no amount of makeup can fix swelling, but it's very manageable if you ice it really soon. Arnica is also a great remedy, arnica cream. And then if you want to cover up a bruise, you obviously put foundation first, concealer, and then on top of that, I used a bruise kit. Not a bruise kit, it's a theater makeup kit, a color correction kit. I call it my bruise kit.
And let me, I use this, I think, in opening statement, and it's Defendant's Exhibit 1.
If you could find the microphone, please.
Oh.
Just we can hear you. There you go.
May I approach the witness to?
That's what you just showed counsel.
This is what I was talking about as a color correction kit. This is not obviously the exact one I used to carry, but I used to carry it with me all the time. Sometimes this pink is sometimes a little bit more purple of a hue, and sometimes the kits are 3 colors. You can get them in 3 or 4 colors. Sometimes they have even more. But the idea is that you want to counteract whatever color you're working with on the bruise. So the first day of bruising, the immediate is red. Red is what shows up right away. So you want to go with the opposite on the color wheel by dabbing on a bit of the green or something to counteract the red. After a day or 2, you get more purple in a bruise. So you'd obviously have to go with more of the red tones, the orange tones here. Day 2 for me was always the trickiest because day 2 just, I feel like, day 1 and day 2 are hardest for me because that's when you get the most blues and purples and you have to deal with the sensitivity. Bruises don't like to be touched. That's the whole point. So that's the trickiest part. But after a few days, that becomes more of that blue becomes more of a brown, yellowish brown, like 5-7 days in becomes more of a yellow green, and then fades into a brown and then into your skin. And whatever color you're working with in the bruise, you want to go opposite color on the color wheel. The opposite, in the first couple of days when you have more of the typical bruise color, the blues and the purples, you want to go more of the orange on the color wheel as opposed to the greens that you start with. And then it progresses from there. I also noticed that bruising on your face tends to heal a lot faster than, at least for me, it was faster healing than bruises on my body, or at least it seemed like that to me. And a nose is pretty much unrecognizable after a day or 2, depending on how much you ice it. Lips are the hardest because they crack and bleed, of course, but it's easy to hide with lipstick if you're a woman, or if you wear lipstick, I suppose.
We heard some.
All right, so that was just to refresh your guys' memory of when she's talking about her bruise kit, and people speculated, like, is she talking about the special effects one? Did she mean to say that? And then we had the internet and the web sleuths and the armchair detectives and all you awesome people out there in the community who found this, and I'd seen it in one of the Johnny Depp Facebook groups. And people speculated and questioned, because remember, this is Amber Heard's team's evidence picture. This is what they submitted. And this was taken from Amber's phone. And people wondered and speculated, is this, in this photo, you guys see it, is this special effects makeup that you can buy? And remember, they're in Hollywood. These types of things to be created is stuff that they see. And apparently she used to be a makeup artist, so she's done stuff like this. I'm just reading chat. I love the comments. Oh, and good night, Hollow Waters, if you're still here. Right. She will appear even though she can't pay what she owes Johnny. And yes, Ginny, bruises don't like to be touched. Sky said, why would you color correct after concealer and foundation? Exactly. And so many people caught that too. I didn't even catch that. But yeah, exactly. No, you would do color correction first and foremost. And why is she putting, it's just not making sense, like with the tenderness of bruises. Everyone's saying it. Bruises don't like to be touched. Everyone has the same idea. Everyone into makeup has said she described this backwards. Well, pretty much concealer doesn't go first. And she was making it up as she was going. I definitely agree. Anyways, CDT, that's definitely possible. I think she put and spilled that ice cream on his lap in the pic. It definitely looks staged, like his hand is in his pocket, people have said, right? But regardless, people wondered, was this special effects makeup palette? And even though it's different shape or, you can't really tell, it could be this year's model or an old model. It's just, people are agreeing with you, CDT, for sure, that she put that there. Yeah, Elaine is gaslighting today. I definitely agree, superhero. And hello, Roxanne. Okay, so you guys saw this post. You see it. So this was going around on social media before Amber's team went up there and presented this photo. They might have shown it more than once, but regardless, this was going around before they showed it again. I think it was during when they brought Amber up again. I don't know. You'll see. I put together this video, but these are the references. The bruise kit one we just watched, and then this photo. And now I will show you something that I'd noticed when they shared it in court. So yeah, when it says the zooming in is real time for Amber's team.
And now we have the ice cream.
What I mean is when you see the screen start zooming and stuff, that is them in control, like the lawyers or whoever does their screen working while Elaine is speaking. It's them who's in control of it. So they can scroll up or down, zoom in or out. So after this was going around of what they had seen in the photo of evidence, this was being presented again after social media was kind of pointing out that looked like a bruise kit.
Cream picture. And what, if any, indication does this have?
Instantly, what I had noticed, they cut it off instantly. They pull it up to re-show and to talk about it again, and then they instantly hide that makeup palette that everyone was like, okay, is that? And are they hiding it, or are they just trying to show this? I'm not sure, but I found it interesting that everyone was wondering, is that a bruise kit? And then when they show it on the screen, they quickly get it out of view. Let me show it again.
And now we have the ice cream picture. And what, if any, indication does this have?
And she stops right when it's out of picture.
Probably could see how I could.
Objection, speculation, no foundation.
What, if any, correlation, what, if any, evidence does this indicate correlative with the risk factors for IPV?
Again, this proves one of the major risk factors and precipitating factors for intimate partner violence.
Objection, move to strike.
All right, sustained. I'll strike it from the record. Next question. We'll just move on. Okay. You were asked about earpieces. Do you recall?
So, I don't know. Maybe it's nothing, but like I said, this is where they said, is this a bruise kit that they compared? And then, right when it's on there, it's cut off. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, Karen, exactly. If she is so afraid of him, why did she constantly do things to provoke him? She was not afraid. Exactly. Okay, thank you, Florida. And Viv, thank you. But regardless, ultimately, justice has been served, in my opinion, for Johnny Depp. He cleared his name. Everybody said that it didn't matter if he won or if he lost because he, said his truth. But I just feel like this went in the best scenario for him. I do see why she ended up winning her 2 million. I see it as far as a legal aspect and yeah, I guess if you have to look at it as black and white because it's either this way or that way when it's the law, but I wouldn't have wanted her to win it. Thank you, Florida. But yeah, I don't know. It was very fascinating to follow this. I didn't realize it was 6 weeks long. I guess, it's just good that, he got to clear his name pretty much. Just checking in chat real quick. Okay. Could you guys hear me saying that I'm happy that he got to clear his name and all that? I don't know if the audio cut out. Okay. Some of chat is saying they can't hear me, other chat is saying they can. But regardless, I just pretty much am happy that everything went the way it did for Johnny Depp. It was really interesting to follow, to see things live and in real time in the courtroom was truly fascinating for me. And now there'll be time to focus our energies on moving cases, Daybell case, Lori Vallow, Summer Wells. Obviously, we will be covering that. But the Johnny Depp community and the Johnny Depp trial, I've just really loved being a part of and speaking about this situation is important because as much as they're going to try and spin it, and when I say they, I mean Amber and her team, they're going to try and spin it as now it's a setback. It's not in the sense that they're thinking, in my opinion. I think that it's a setback because she didn't tell the truth and she did try to act like she was the victim. But yeah, Savannah, I agree. So far, it's been the highlight of 2022. Whatever the reason for the distraction, it was a good distraction for me because, we in the true crime world, we cover a lot of sad cases. And I mean, hearing Johnny Depp suffering and those audio tapes was sad. And for a lot of people, I'm sure it was triggering, you know, but he came out on top, and his statement pretty much sums it up. And he posted this on Instagram after he got his verdict. Says, 6 years ago, my life, the life of my children, the lives of those closest to me, and also the lives of the people who for many, many years have supported and believed in me were forever changed, all in the blink of an eye. False, very serious, and criminal allegations were leveled at me via the media, which triggered an endless barrage of hateful content. Although no charges were ever brought against me, it had already traveled around the world twice within a nanosecond, and it had a systematic impact on my life and my career. And 6 years later, the jury gave me my life back. I am truly humbled. My decision to pursue this case, knowing very well the height of the legal hurdles that I would be facing and the inevitable worldwide spectacle into my life, was only made after considerable thought. From the very beginning, the goal of bringing this case was to reveal the truth, regardless of the outcome. Speaking the truth was something that I owe to my children and to all those who have remained steadfast in their support of me. I feel at peace knowing I have finally accomplished that. So that was his statement. Again, sorry I stumbled through that. First time reading it fully live here with you guys. And anyone watching it on replay. But thank you so much, guys. Yeah, Crazy Crime Chick said, for me, it was a nice distraction covering this trial. I covered cases that sometimes can bring a lot for me mentally. I agree. Like, this was something a little bit outside of what a lot of us have followed. Although being a part of true crime, you know, a lot of my like in the community is the courtroom too. Like, we like seeing trials play out in front of us, but a lot of times it's a slow process, and it'll be years before you see a trial come, or they'll sign a plea deal, or it's a case like Summer Wells where it's just a missing child, and it's just very hard to cover at times. But you know, justice was served, and thank you so much for being here, everybody. And we will talk very soon, and we will be back covering plenty of cases. And yeah, we like to get back into the crime, but we also like to see the law and order part. So that it was good while it lasted, but we have lots to do still with things that we've kind of studied and covered for a while now. So I'll see everybody soon, and goodbye, everybody.